All right. Well, thank you for sticking around, and we are back with the new release rundown. We're joined by Ethan Lin from Zulu's Board Game Cafe up north of Seattle. So do you want to tell us about yourself and about Zulu's real quick?
Yeah, for sure. I've been playing board games since I can remember. I love them. I love all gaming in general. It's in our blood, right?
Yep.
So Zulu's is, north of Seattle, Bothell, Washington, not too far away from here. We are a board game cafe, which means we have food and beer and like 200 free-to-play board games. We have lots of space, and we've been adding on. We actually opened up a new room, and we have another like semi-internal, external patio coming up that's got this cool like castle brick wall on it. So the store is actually getting a nice looking view from the street as opposed to an old broken down house, which it started out as basically looking. So
well, yeah,
it looks
like,
awesome.
You guys have gone through a lot of construction and
Yeah.
a lot of remodeling to make that place look great.
Which is great, and the construction is nice because it's not really invasive to the customer. It's off to the side, and other than the random drilling sound during the noise, during the day, the noise isn't too bad. So, and people understand because the place is looking great.
Great. So you brought a selection of games that have, just come out basically.
Yeah.
What do you want to start with?
Well, we start with something a little easier. Bosk is actually been out for I think a week now, or we got it. I think we got it a little early actually. Sometimes we can get games a little early before they release to the public.
Yep.
And
so what is Bosk?
Nice. Bosk is basically, so what it reminds me of, it doesn't play like it, but it reminds me of a combination of photosynthesis and, what's the other game? I'll figure it out when I go through it. But in photosynthesis, you have like a sundial that goes around. If anyone's ever played that game, which changes every round. In this one, it's not every round, but you have this wind thing that can change once you go through scoring, which is going to change the direction your trees blow. So in this game, it goes through all 4 seasons, starting in the spring. You are growing your trees. You get to pick your color, and you're trying to plant your trees around so that people will walk by them, and you score them more points depending on how many trees you have in each row. And then once you've scored points off that, you get to use this wind thing and actually blow leaves off your tree.
Oh, okay.
And you kind of get to determine, like this tells you which direction you have to go.
Sure.
But you get to place the leaves, and you can also place your leaves over other players' leaves.
Okay.
And then you're scoring points based on how many leaves you got in certain spots. But like I said,
I see red leaves, red trees. So there's red trees and yellow trees. But there's also blue, yellow and purple.
But there's actually more trees in there. There's not all.
Oh, not everything's
not all
punched out. I got it. I was wondering.
It's a 2-player game.
I see.
So there's also purple and orange trees.
Okay, that makes more sense.
And there's also squirrel tokens, which are awesome. Squirrel meeples. I don't think a lot of games come with squirrel meeples, but this one
Squeeples.
does. Squeeples. And the squirrel is great because the squirrel will actually cover up your opponent's points and score you points, basically.
Okay.
So he's pretty cool. It's a very pretty, colorful game.
Yep.
It's not hard to learn.
There's a number of the like plant-themed, botany-themed kind of point games. There's the one with the butterflies, Papillon, I think, Dust in the Wind. So it's kind of an interesting moment, I guess, for nature-themed plant games.
Yeah, that's the other game is Trekking the National Parks. It doesn't. It's not similar to this game, but it has the same theme where like it has little tidbits about national parks in the rule books and stuff, and it's supposed to be about that, like you're in a national park and everything.
Okay, so it also teaches you about something.
It does. It's also made by Floodgate Games, which made Sagrada, which was kind of a big
another
game.
very pretty accessible game.
Very
so I guess that's going to lead to some of the other questions.
Sure.
Like, is this a very accessible? Because again, like Sagrada, some of their other stuff are good entry points for a lot of people into more complicated board games. Is this also like that?
Yes.
Or is it a little more complicated?
I would say it's more complicated than Sagrada, but not by a lot.
Okay.
It's very easy to read components, very easy to use. The instruction book is not super heavy. The only confusing thing is that there's a couple different phases that you go through. So it's like you plant trees in the spring, you score those trees in the summer, you blow leaves in the fall, and then you score those leaves in the winter.
Okay.
So it's basically 2 phases, but it's broken up.
Okay.
So it's pretty
cool. If you're like an experienced board gamer, this is going to be very easy to get into. If you're new to board games, this might be a good like second or third game after you kind of gotten one or two under your belt.
I wouldn't quite say it's a starting game.
Okay.
But it's in that lower level. Like at our store, we have we try to have tiers on our demo shelf when the easier games are at top, where the more complex games are on the bottom. And this would definitely go on the top, maybe second shelf around there.
So again, so you're planting trees, and then you're scoring points for the trees, and then you're blowing the leaves off and then scoring those.
Yes.
Is that the kind of cadence of the game, basically?
Pretty much.
Okay. So you're basically building an empire of trees and then scoring.
You're building an empire of majestic trees, they say.
I feel like there needs to be like
it
a
says
Rush
right on the cover,
soundtrack.
a game of majestic trees and falling leaves.
Yeah.
So.
But, like, anytime there's a tree empire, there needs to be a Rush soundtrack.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is this for?
This is like your leaf storage box, and they fold up easily.
They do know that like this is not how it happens in nature, right? Like if you could just put a box out and have all of your trees dump their leaves in that, then I would not have had to rake so much as a child.
You could literally just put your trees and your leaves in front of you, or you can put them in this paper bin.
I think they're setting unreasonable expectations for children.
Well, this way they can charge $40.
Oh, okay.
Extra components.
They're teaching them capitalism. That's okay then.
Yes, of course.
All right. So let's pack
Bosk,
this up. Whoop, hey there. Apparently,
I looked it up. Bosk.
Timber? No. All right.
Oh, Bosk basically is just a group of shrubs and trees and stuff. I'm like, okay, that's cool. The only Bosk I know is from Star Wars. So I was like, what is Bosk?
Well, apparently he's a group of trees. So it's like a murder of crows, but for trees.
For trees, yeah.
Interesting.
Apparently.
So I'm gonna pack this away. What would you like to show us next?
Well, let's do something from this side. Yay! Boom.
All right. So this is Tiny Epic Mechs.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is I think it's Gambling Games. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. If it's Gambling or Gambling, but either way, Scott Alms is their lead designer. He designs all these games of the Tiny Epic series, and each game is different. This one is based in like the year 3030 or something, and if you've ever seen movies from like the 90s, like Robot Jocks, where it's all about robots.
I remember that movie.
Yeah, amazing, but terrible.
Amazingly terrible, yes.
That is basically what this game is. It's an arena combat game set in the future, where instead of boxing, we have pilots who get in these mechs.
That seems entirely accurate.
Yeah, they get weapons, they get swords and hammers, and they're all futuristic.
And it looks like I get to construct a robot?
You get to construct a robot. That is the Mega Mech.
Yeah, that's why I went for that one right off the bat.
And so he can only have like advanced, awesome, like the best weapons.
Like a crossbow. I just gave him a crossbow.
That might be a basic weapon. That I don't know. There's certain weapons he cannot have because they're too.
Well, I gave him a crossbow.
They're too basic.
And he's got too many weapons for you to say no to.
So he's basically in this, like the board is set up by all these tiles, and he's in the middle. So if you get to him, you get to take your guy out. The guys actually, if you open these up, they actually fit.
Oh, the meeple goes
in the
inside?
robots. The mechs, they're not robots. It's just kind of hard to open apparently, but it can be done.
Okay.
Anyway.
Whoop, there you go. So then the meeple goes inside?
So the meeple actually fits inside.
That is ridiculous.
And yeah.
Vorpal Spiker, EMP Mace, Warhammer. So you're basically constructing a combat mech and then beating up other combat mechs.
Yeah, so you have this, depending on if there's 2, 3, 4 players, there's a different setup of tiles. And then you have all these, I think it's these, you have all these, it's a programming game, right? So you have 8 options. You pick 4 of these programs, place them down in front of you in the order you want to do them, and then you cover them up with your other 4 upside down. People probably can't see that very well, but whatever. So basically then everyone's going to take a turn uncovering. This turn I'm doing a jump.
Okay.
And then there's also sometimes an action on the bottom.
So it sounds a little bit like Robo Rally almost. Where you're programming out your actions. Okay.
In a way. So then you'll take turns doing it. So you might have this plan where I'm trying to get myself to the Mega Mech, but say you go on a space and then someone else goes and they end up on your space, then you have to fight, you have to do battle, and then you're trying to kill each other.
So the mechs are out there and you need to run and jump and get in one.
Yeah, you don't start in a mech.
I see.
So you need to get your mech and then you can get to the Mega Mech, which just throws down. But you can't, you can actually leave the mech, but you can't leave the Mega Mech until it has to, it's either die or go forever.
In the game of mechs, you either die or go forever?
You just go forever. Like, well, you're essentially a gladiator in the future, you know? So when you die, you're done, but you actually respawn.
And there's all these wooden tokens too?
Yeah, so these signify like you can plant mines, you can plant turrets.
Oh, okay.
So
you can go to the movie theater.
Yeah, apparently you can. You go to the movie theater.
All right.
But the mines, basically, you can plant them, and then hopefully someone else will walk on that and blow themselves up.
Okay.
That's what mines
Is this a 2-player game?
2 to 4, actually.
2 to 4, okay.
And it has it scales differently. The board increases in size depending on how many players, and the starting spots change and stuff like that.
So aside from people who like to design their own little mechs and like add gun arms and stuff like that and put a crossbow on the most powerful robot available.
Sure.
Aside from that, who would this be for? Like, is this similar to the other Tiny Epic games, or
well,
like gameplay-wise, I suppose?
Most Tiny Epic games are completely different from one another.
Okay.
I mean, they sometimes share a few similar mechanics, but for the most part, they're pretty different.
So Tiny Epic is more about the package of this, epic experience in a tiny package as opposed to
more like a brand
the mechanics.
At this point.
Okay.
But this game is going to be for people that like arena combat, skirmish, gladiator style game, where you're basically fighting each other and you're getting points. There's no dice or anything in this game. The luck is involved in programming your guys correctly to go the right way, and that can definitely be difficult to do.
So what it sounds like is if Robo Rally was too nice and didn't involve enough crossbows.
Yeah, there's definitely a crossbow in this game. I think there's actually only one of each weapon too.
Okay.
So
all right.
Well, there are basic weapons, but you get to pick 2 weapons to start, and then you can get the advanced weapons later and really just lay waste to other people.
Yeah, I mean, like it definitely.
What you want to do,
if you like constructing robots, it definitely.
I believe this is a televised event in the game, so you got.
This is also a televised event right now.
You actually have an audience, and you can get the audience on your side. Yay.
Sweet, sweet.
And you want that. That helps you.
Yeah, I mean, like the ability to play with the robots and kind of assemble them, I think is going to.
Yeah, you can literally just buy it for the toys.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that tactical element alone is going to pull a lot of people in.
For sure. Because when you're not playing it, you can just have them set up on your desk or whatever.
So aside from Robo Rally's kind of programmable action kind of thing, are there any other games that you think this would be similar to, like that might help people judge if this is their kind of game to play? Or is this an entirely unique experience, a galaxy unto itself?
Unique, but it's definitely different than most games I've played. It's more the theme is less unique, I'd say.
Sure.
It's the theme's been done.
Okay.
But
this is a different
way to do it. So there are other programming games out there. I know that. I haven't played all of them. But yeah, just that idea of you have to pick your actions before you get to do them is really cool.
Okay.
You do actually, when you die, you go into ad hoc mode, and then you do get to do your actions as you go until you get your situation back together.
So you can't be sniped before you get your shot off?
Pretty much.
Okay. So it plays like Warhammer Apocalypse is what you're telling me?
Except not 45 hours long, and you only have to spend $25 as opposed to about 1,000.
Cool. So like people who want a small game with lots of customization, arena battle kind of thing, this is going to be
pretty much anything they make is like a great game for a good price in a small box. The components are smaller, the game is not worse.
Okay, awesome. What else are we going to do? What's the next game?
Let's head on over to, why don't we just do that exit game there, which some people may or may not be familiar with.
Yeah, I was curious about this because I thought this one had come out last year. Is there a new release? Is it a new edition?
The Exit series actually is taking escape room idea and putting it in a board game. So they already have about, I think, 12 games released, and each one is a completely different theme. The unique thing about this one is, if you don't know Exit games, they are the games you play once. And there are other games out there that you can play once as well, but you can give them to your friend and then they can play it once, which is cool. It can live on forever. Exit games actually get destroyed and the components get ripped up, cut up, tore up.
This is an escape room in a box.
In a box. So you can literally only play this once, unless maybe you have a lot of tape, but then it's pretty obvious how to rip the things. So it's got all these components in it, and you'll need to use them to escape the room. The difference about this one is usually they're $15, you get one adventure. This one is still one adventure, but it's a two-parter. So before you can open this box and see what's in this box, you have to beat everything that you can already see here, and then you go on to the second part of this adventure. So it's got like a to-be-continued situation here, and it's only 25, so it's not even double the cost.
It's also got skulls, so clearly people are going to die.
It does have skulls, and they're actually painted really well.
But it's got a candle.
It does have a candle. And
do I get to burn something while playing this game?
It appears that way.
Okay.
I didn't want to play this one. I've played other exit games, but I didn't. I was like, well, I don't want to destroy all the components, and then.
So what you're saying is there's no demo copy of this at Zulu's?
There's not a demo copy. I don't know what's going to happen with this copy. I might have to just buy it now.
I'm just going to assume that this is the game you would recommend for Pyromaniacs.
Yeah.
Just for having a candle.
I gotta imagine there's a warning on there somewhere that it comes with a candle.
I haven't seen one yet. I have not been warned.
You don't want to burn yourself or your house or the store you're at, Zulu's. We've already been burned once. Don't burn us again.
Please. All right, so yeah, so the people who are into escape rooms should check out the whole series of games. But this seems intriguing because it is a more involved puzzle. So if you have played through a couple of the escape rooms, a couple of the exit games, and you enjoyed that, but you want to stretch out that experience a little bit longer, then Catacombs of Horror.
You want to do it at home. There is actually a free app that has all the games on there and a tutorial. They always use these decoders. These are what you use to figure out if you're getting the right things. You're always trying to find a number, a series of numbers, and it's like a little padlock basically. So you put the combination up, it gives you a number in the middle, you find the card that matches that number, and then it will tell you if you're right or wrong, basically.
And we have some clues here. There's all these kind of things written around. There's where summoning Satan looks like.
And you don't know what they mean until you get to the spot that...
I know what that means. Well, I don't think that is unclear.
It's not a good symbol usually, but...
it depends on how much heavy metal is playing in the background.
That's true. It could be.
Yeah, so this is an escape room in a box. If you like that kind of puzzly experience, then buy it and burn something, but not at Zulu's.
Not at Zulu's. So yeah,
those are the rules.
If you've played, there's other games called Unlock, which are escape room-like. They're a little different. They're a little more like the ones you can play on your cell phone, and you don't destroy them. So that may be a bonus to you. It may not. Some people like to destroy things.
So recommended for pyromaniacs and destructive people.
Yes. And
people who like puzzles.
And people who like thinking. This one's actually supposed to be really hard too. It's got like 4 circles and a half circle on there.
Or 4.5 circles.
Maybe it's
if you are not smarter than 4.5 circles, do not play this game.
4 full moons and 1 half moon? I don't know.
Okay. All right. What else?
What is next? Okay, let's go back to a simpler game for simpler times.
A simpler time.
You have that here.
A more refined time.
Yeah. This is going to be more your speed for like your family. You have kids, or maybe that kind of game. You've had too many beverages, and
a more accessible
you want something lighter.
Okay.
So this game doesn't do a lot, but what it does really well.
Okay. It sounds like what it does is eat.
You're basically bidding on the. Yeah, it also makes you hungry because the food on here looks delicious. It's mostly desserts, and what you're looking at is all these cards that give you points, but you need to bid to win them.
Okay.
So the thing about this game is you have this card here. It's your gem tracker basically, and there's 4 different colors of gems. Each gem is going to be assigned a value when you start, between 1 through 4. And so and then you'll randomly draw gems to start the game. Like
you are right. Gems. There's a couple things in here that have made me very hungry
I would
already.
Use this card if it was real.
Like that. I'd go for that steak, and then we'll top it off with some sushi.
Yeah, you can actually put together your main course, your side dish, and your dessert. Which doesn't actually matter as far as points go if you complete that set.
So I interrupted. You were bidding on a meal.
You're bidding on a meal, and you have these different colored gems. And like I said, the tracker will let you know what they're worth.
Okay.
And then you'll all secretly bid with your gems, and you're trying to think what colors and how many do I have to use to win this bid. And then you all put your hands out, and you can bid 0 as well, which is a tricky move. And then you all reveal what you bid, and you're like, okay, my gems I bid a green and a red, and they're worth 4 points, whatever. And then they bid 2 blues, and each blues were 2 points. Oh crap, we're both at 4.
Okay.
And then you have to set those gems aside and go back to your pool and bid again.
Okay.
And then whoever wins that basically wins the card.
The interesting thing of the bidding there is there's a lot of games that have bidding, but it sounds like you're bidding with currencies that are like A, can fluctuate.
Yes.
And B, are not like fully divisible. So I can't just be like, I'm going to bid 3, because that's 1 more than you have. I might have currency that I can bid with that requires me to just put down 5 because that's the only thing I have.
Yeah, if you have one gem, you can either go 0 or that gem. But that gem might be worth 4 points, where their 3 gems are worth 3.
Yep.
But then the really cool thing about this game is whoever wins, so if you lose, you get your gems back. Now, people have seen those gems. They know you have those gems. If they can remember, in a 4-player game, it might be harder. But you have those gems. So then the gems that were used to win, say red and blue one, they would go down 1 in value. And the ones that were not used will go up in value. And they can't go past 1 as the lowest or 4 as the highest. But the values are constantly fluctuating. So if you have a lot, if green's worth 4 and you used a 4 to win, now the other greens in your hands are worth less.
Sure.
And their gems that didn't win go up. So it actually balances the game really well, because the people that lose have a higher chance of winning next time, unless they used similar gems.
How do you get more gems?
You have to bid 0. So you start with like 5.
Oh, okay.
So you don't want to just blow out all your gems.
Sure.
So once you're out, you have to bid 0, and then you get to take a gem from the bag.
Okay, so you take a random gem.
You take a random gem.
Okay. So are you just ultimately trying to get the points on the cards, or
points? But there's also abilities on some of them. Some of them are worth more points.
Sure.
Some of them make your bid worth extra if you use a certain color. Some of them say if you bid on a side dish, you get 1 more to your bid, stuff like that. So you also get stronger as you get cards, or you just get points because they're worth like 3 or 4 points.
And there aren't a whole lot of cards here, so is this a relatively quick bidding game then?
Oh yeah, this game's like 15 minutes. And you actually take out 1 card. And you only play with 12. So 1 random card is not.
So if you only play with 12, does that mean there's only 12 rounds?
There's 12 rounds.
Okay, great.
And they're super fast, especially if you play with like 2 people.
Very neat. So it's just it's a bidding game. It sounds like it's a bidding game where the currency fluctuates.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Very simple, but like I said, what it does well.
Great.
Different than other bidding games I've played.
Yeah, it definitely sounds that. I mean, I don't think I've encountered any before that have that fluctuating economy mechanic.
Pretty much. And it's cheap. It's pretty. Bon Appetit. That's what.
And everybody likes food, right?
Who doesn't like food?
Yep.
Easy one.
What else are we gonna do?
Let's go to Villagers, way over here. From Sinister Fish Games.
This is an unusual box size.
Yes, I don't super like the box size. But
I was going to say, as a retailer, how do you feel about the box size?
Yeah, it doesn't fit on your shelf the way you'd want it to, but it's creative for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely distinctive. It's got a nice design. It's got a very clean, like modern design. But what is Villagers?
So Villagers actually was a Kickstarter, I believe, and this is now the retail version of the game that everyone can get. And so this game is card drafting plus village building. So you're going in these phases where you have what they call a road, and the road is all the idea is there was a plague, and all these people in these villages died. So these villages don't have their tailors, their blacksmiths, their I don't know all the jobs you do back in the villager day.
Shepherd.
Shepherd. They have like hayers. They have all these things. I'm like, what is that? They have like a swine herder. I'm like, oh yeah, I wanted to be one of those when I grew up, but
Tinner.
Couldn't.
Swineherd was your dream as a kid?
Swineherd, but
where would young Ethan, the swineherd aficionado, be happy with you now?
Who knows? But I remember driving across this the bridge to work, or not to work, but like to school, and I'd always see like these pigs. And I'm like, that'd be fun to swineherd those pigs,
I had pigs. You were wrong. Your dream was a lie the entire time.
Pigs are adorable, man.
Oof. We
little ones.
Oh yeah, the little ones maybe, but the big ones.
Not the hogs.
Also, this lumberjack does not have flannel.
Yeah, that's a false lumberjack right there. Well, you can also be a girl lumberjack. You get a pick.
Lumberjane, still no flannel.
Lumberjane.
Like it's not the gender that I have a problem. It's the lack of flannel.
The only reason we think lumberjacks wear flannel is because of the brawny paper towels. So let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean I've been brainwashed by corporate interests, but still. I need my flannel here.
That's what I believe in.
The plague has come and left us with no lumberjacks.
So you are a founder of a village, and you need to rebuild a village, and each person's trying to. Yeah, each person is trying to. Basically recruit people that are looking for work. So you have this road laid out of piles of villagers to pick from, and then you also have piles laid out that are upside down, and you know what type of villager they are, but you don't know which villager it is.
Okay.
So the first thing you're doing is
sounds kind of like a deck building game so far.
You're kind of starting off by building your deck. Okay. Yeah, you're drafting out of this community pool.
Okay.
And then each player gets to take a turn drafting a guy, and it goes around, and you get to draft 2 villagers each turn, and then 1 extra for each food symbol you have on your board.
Okay.
But no more than 5. And then once you've done the draft phase,
on your board or on your tableau?
Yeah, like in your tableau.
Okay,
you gotta put them into your hand.
I was like, I haven't seen a board crammed in here
There
somewhere.
is no board in there. So they go into your hand, and then you build the tableau, or AKA your village, in the second round. And that's where you get to build 2 things, and +1 for each building symbol you have, up to 5 again.
Okay.
And you're basically doing this over and over until there's basically cards that are covered up, and once you uncover the market phase, you go to market, and that's when you score everything.
Okay. So it's kind of like deck building, but you're building a tableau as opposed to a shuffling
As
deck.
opposed to a deck.
Okay.
So,
but people are all drafting from the same area.
Is there's certain guys that you have to unlock to use them. So you have to basically money is points in this game. So it's also a currency. You don't buy a lot of stuff with it, but you have to pay certain classes to. So like you have a standard class like say you have a lumberjack or a carpenter, you have to have a lumberjack before you can get a carpenter, and you're upgrading these guys, and they have like a skill tree chain.
Sure.
And so you have to have this job before you can go to this job.
So it's like a tech tree in like an RTS or something like that.
In a way, yeah.
Okay.
So there'll be these guys with these padlock symbols on them, and in order to unlock them, it'll say you have to have a blacksmith or something. So if you have a blacksmith, you instantly play that guy down, and you get 2 coins in your blacksmith. You're like, sweet. If someone else has a blacksmith, you have to pay them. You can pay them 2 coins to use their blacksmith to unlock your guy so he can work. If no one has it, you can pay the bank 2 coins. But best case scenario, you already have that because then you're getting 2 coins from the bank, as opposed to losing.
Kind of reminds me a little bit of Seven Wonders in that sense, where you need to kind of build on it, or you can use your neighbor's resources.
If you already have that set up, you can go to the next level for free.
Okay.
And this one, you actually gain money.
Okay.
The other cool thing this does, which a lot of games, I've seen a lot more games doing this. A lot of games have a solo mode, where it's pretty much just a version of the game, but it's a little tweaked. This one actually gives you a deck. You're playing against the evil Countess.
I was wondering what the Countess was doing.
Yeah, so she doesn't get played in the regular game, but she has a summer and winter, and winter's the harder. So you start with the summer events, and they do things like they hurt you, basically. And you're basically playing against her, and she just gets
so basically that's the Disney movie version of this game.
It very much feels like a Disney character.
Okay.
But she gets to basically just draft stuff and put it in. She doesn't care about unlocking or anything. She just gets stuff because she's the Countess, and she wants to be the ruler of the land, not you.
Okay.
And so trying to beat her actually sounds like a challenge. And then there's fluctuations. If it's too hard, they have a way to make it a little easier. If it's not hard enough, they make it harder, because she gets to play these events that just do terrible things to you, and hopefully you can beat her.
So then this is a drafting game you mentioned, but it doesn't sound like it's the usual kind of drafting thing where we're not passing hand of cards around.
No.
We're drafting openly from the middle of the board.
You're drafting openly from the board, and then that board will replenish after each round, basically.
Okay. So what kind of gamers would you recommend this for? Like, is this for Dominion fans? Is this for...
Kind of. So it's not a deck builder in that similar time phase where you're getting points in that regard. But if you do like casual deck builders like Dominion, I think this will be for you as well. But if you also like anything that's tableau building or just making your own village, that's definitely for you.
And what's the complexity level then?
The complexity level, so it's got a pretty big rule book, but it's very sneaky because it's so thin. But it's actually about 30 pages long, 27 pages. So, and some of that's solo play, you don't need it all. But it is really easy to read, and lots of pictures and examples, so I think that's a big part of it. I was able to learn this game myself in like 15 minutes or something, just reading through the thing, or the rule book as they call it.
The thing.
Everything's a thing. Cause
experts call it rule books.
Yeah, mine doesn't work so well, so it's a thing. No, what was your question? I'm a sidetrack.
So apparently I crashed you.
Yeah.
And you're going to reboot.
That was not compute.
I was just asking like what the complexity level was, because I'm trying to get at like who would be interested in this game.
Yeah.
Because
so
again, we're trying to let people know what they should go to their local store and ask about.
Yeah.
So it sounds like people who like to kind of build tableaus, build their own thing.
Yeah. I've already played
set it up.
a couple of these games. I already understand.
Maybe
some
like
of the basic
a Seven
mechanics.
Wonders fan, stuff like that. Should check out Villagers.
For sure.
But how complex is it? I mean, I guess maybe especially compared to, say, Seven Wonders.
Like, out of 5, like a 2, 2.5 maybe.
Okay. So again, not an entry game.
Super complex.
Not an entry game, but maybe a couple games down the road.
could be
Or
an
if you're a
entry
hardcore
game
gamer, then it's totally fine.
If you're playing with a group who already knows how to play.
Okay.
I don't think it's not so complex that you couldn't get it. You know what I mean? But it has a couple new concepts that maybe a little difficult to understand at first.
So what's the player interaction? Like how much?
So the player interaction is basically, so since you're someone, there's only like one or two, there's mostly two of each job in there.
Okay.
Sometimes only one. And less players, you take out cards. So there's a limited amount of these guys.
But I can't do anything to your tableau.
You cannot do that, but what you can do is, like I said earlier, they play a card, they need a certain card to be able to use that card, and it's in your tableau, and I don't have it.
Okay.
So I can pay your guy basically to get it.
So player interaction is in opportunity cost.
In that,
like I can take the villager that you need.
I can see, see, hey, you need this guy. I don't need this guy, but he can live in my hand.
Yep.
That way you're not going to get that guy. So it's a little bit of, they call it hate drafting, I guess.
Yeah, but like it is important. Like there's a lot of people that I know who like to play games where well, yes, but it's more that like they like to play a game where they can build their thing.
Yeah.
And I, as the perpetual trader, can't mess that up for them. So like I can't directly go and give them the plague and wipe out some of their villagers. I can try to prevent them from getting what they need, but that's a little bit different.
Right. And so I was reading. So you can't directly do that. I was reading through it, and I don't know if this will work, but the Countess has events, and I was like, what if you just played an event every turn that everyone had to deal with? Maybe it doesn't say it in the rule book.
Well, that was my first thought of what if you take that? Well, I guess we're all hardcore game players, so we should start mixing the streams and hacking it to our own benefit.
I always want more from these games. I'm like, that's pretty cool, but I want it to be harder. So that might be a way to change it up.
A card drafting and tableau building game for 1 to 5 players. That seems accurate.
That's a pretty good description of the game. Okay. Let's jump into the new Century game. I actually think it comes out next week. I got a chance to play it, though, this weekend.
Okay.
And
what
if
do you think?
Played Century Spice Road or Eastern Wonders, it's along the same line, except this one, it's in the same series, basically. It's a series of 3, and this is the final game. This one is in the West, unlike the other two, which take place in the East. This game is a little different, but it has similar mechanics, where you basically have this board that's made up of 4 smaller boards. So these are the smaller boards, and we want the 4 sides for now, but it doesn't matter which order we have, but let's just you have 4 of these boards out, and they have different actions. This is what one board looks like. They have, different actions on them, and then you have some tiles on top that are basically for scoring stuff. But you're basically, it's a worker placement game when it comes down to it.
Okay.
You start with like 6 workers.
Are these our meeples? Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're the smallest meeples I've ever seen in my life too.
Like, meeples.
I wanted them to be candy because they look delicious, but then I would eat my workers and that'd be bad. Don't eat the workers, not candy.
Yeah. At Zulu's, only eat food, not workers.
Yes. We have food for sale. You don't need to eat the board games. These guys, basically, you place them on there, and spots will say requires 1 worker, 2 workers, 3 workers, and all that stuff. You can actually do these workers to get resources, which are the cubes. If you play the other games, in the other games it's like spices. In this one, you have like meat, fur, corn, and tobacco. And you can use those to buy point cards, which are these things.
So you don't start out with the cards in your hand?
You don't get any cards in your hand in this game. These
cards that is a departure from the previous Century games.
The previous Century games, yes, had cards that you use. So this one, the cards are on the top of the board, and you're buying them. And when you buy them, you get an ability and you get points. But the points, there's the point value down there, and then they also have the ability to get you bonus points. So some will do things like this one here gives you this bone symbol, and whenever you put your workers on a spot that has a bone symbol, it requires 1 less worker. So if it requires 3, it goes down to 2.
Great.
Also, you can kick people off the spots, but you have to place 1 more person than them.
So this sounds like a worker placement engine buildy kind of game.
It basically is. The engine building's a little lighter because there's not a ton of it.
Well, a lot of it seems in these cards here.
It's mostly like you can do a couple things. You can uncover a thing. There's actually some of these spots will be covered up with forest tiles.
They have to be like developed or something.
You have to get a card that lets you uncover one. And then a new spot opens up, and the person that uncovered it gets a bonus. You're also trying to collect these symbols. I actually have all 4 of them right here.
Wow.
There's this like navigation symbol. There's a hammer symbol, a dream catcher, and like a bag, a satchel. And these tiles here, it's pretty small, but they have. This one has 2 hammers on it. So every time you get it at the end of the game, for every 2 hammer symbols you have in your little tableau, you get 3 points. So that's how I won the game. Was you can have up to 3 of these on your card. And so if you do it right, you can get you can double up your symbols.
Sure. So and this one here is going to be 2 points for every compass.
Maps. Right. Okay. So say you have one that's for every hammer and compass, and then you have the compass one, you're getting double points off your compass.
Great. So it basically, different cards are going to be worth different amounts to different players.
Yes. And it ends when someone gets their 8th point card. So, but they're all different values. So I actually only got 6 cards, and the guy got 8. But I actually beat him because my cards were worth a lot more, and I got a ton of bonus points.
So, you know, Century Spice Road was really, really thin and focused. You know, it's like Splendor. It was a really, really basic, really accessible, really good, lean game. You know, you had your hand of cards. You played one, or you claimed a card, or you refreshed your hand.
Pretty much. Very simple.
And then there was Century Eastern Wonders. Which kind of added like a pickup and delivery mechanism, I believe. Yeah. So this one adds worker placement.
Worker placement.
And how much complexity do you think it adds?
So this one, I wouldn't say is too much more complex. It's a little more complex than Spice Road is, but it's not insane.
Okay.
But here's the thing it does, is these games can now all be played together. They actually
that was going to be the next question I had.
They actually give you 4 rule books, and the nice thing is these rules are super light. That's the overview sheet. We don't need that. But here's the rule book. This and this. And that's all you need to play.
So it can't be a particularly complex worker placement game.
However, you have 3 more rule sheets. This one lets you play this game with Eastern Wonders. And it's a completely different setup. You can see there's way more going on here. There's 2 boards. This one lets you play Spice Road in not Eastern Wonders,
New World.
New World. And again, so you're adding the card element back. And this one lets you play all 3 of them together.
Yeah, that was the really crazy idea. Because again, Century Spice Road was super focused, super small, like narrow.
They all kind of do that too.
And then the idea that you could add these other games to it to make it like a new game almost was pretty nuts. So how have you played with any of the games together?
No, and I'm really looking forward to it. I actually like the way they did it. They didn't come out, so other titles have put out everything at once. There's other games that do this whole, our games can be played together. You know, Raiders of the North Sea, Explorers of the North Sea, all those games can be played together. And they all came out at one time, and it's like this, and they all have expansions, and it's overwhelming. Like, what? This is too much for me.
Sure, especially for like games, because Century Spice Road was very much like a newbie-friendly game.
Oh yeah.
So you know, they did kind of take a complicated game, break it into 3, and then make those their own games.
Right. And the nice thing about these is each one focuses on a different kind of mechanic for their game, and it does that, and it does it really well. And you've learned these games. I kind of look at it like the, you know. Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk Marvel movie situation.
Sure.
Where they put out a movie.
You are permitted to talk.
Thank you. I don't want to get sued or anything, you know? Or you. They put out the character movies, and then they put the big Avengers movie together, right? So that's what they're doing. They're saying, here's 3 games. They're all easy. They're all great on their own. But now if you really want to go into it, you can play a giant game.
So what you're telling me is the Infinity Gauntlet is a key component. Confirmed Infinity Gauntlet is in Century.
If you want to collect all the spices and put them in your knuckles or something, man, make a glove, make a gauntlet, you could definitely do that.
Okay.
So Century Infinity Gauntlet.
So Century Spice Road was a very accessible game. Would you kind of recommend that like this is for fans of that game? Is this for any board gamer?
Is
this for people who want to learn about worker placement?
Right. Well, so this is actually really easy to get into. I've played other worker placement games, and the hardest thing is that they have 7,000 options, and they all do different things. This one, it's pretty straightforward. You put a guy here, you get this.
Okay.
And you use those resources to buy this card. Okay. So I actually call it a good entry-level worker placement game. Okay. Because it's not that difficult. The rules are short. If you like the other Century Spice, it's not Spice Road, but if you like Century Spice World or Eastern Wonders or any of those games, you're going to like this game too. It's very similar. Even though it's different mechanics, it's still clearly in the same genre and world.
So it's familiar, teaching you something new. And again, you think this is a really good introduction to somebody who maybe is just learning about board games, hasn't played a worker placement game, and this will help kind of bring them up to speed.
I think so. It only actually has one problem, and as you saw, the boards are kind of thin. They are double-sided too, but that's for different gameplays. So because the boards are thin, and they go together, sometimes they overlap each other, they get pushed around and stuff, which is a thing, but other than that, it's worth it.
So these components aren't as good, but like I have to say, one of the things I always loved about
The game bowls?
Yeah, Spice Road was just the tactile nature of the tokens and the bowls.
Right, and you can use the bowls for other board games. It's cool too to put your money and separate your denominations of coins and stuff like that.
If you're one of those kind of people who will open up one board game for the components when you're playing a different board game,
I know
are
those
you
people.
that kind of person?
I am not, but I do know people that do that. They buy a board game because it has better money, and they use it for the game they want to play.
That's what Kickstarter is for. Metal money is for.
I know. But maybe they want a special pirate-themed money or something. Doubloons.
That's what a special pirate-themed money Kickstarter is for. I can find one of those. I guarantee it.
Okay. Well, after this,
every
we'll
time.
get to that.
Every time.
I think we only have one left.
You got to put the cover on the right. All right, whatever.
Good enough. That'll be on our demo shelf too at Zulu. So
great.
If you want to come play it, actually, probably all these games will be.
Except for the one that's going to burn the place down.
Except for the one that I'm going to have to buy.
So what do we have now?
Ancient World.
So is this the second edition? Because the first edition came out a little while ago, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The second edition introduces some new things. So this is Ryan Laucat, I believe you say his name.
Yep.
I hope I'm saying that right.
Laucat.
Red Raven Games. They make all these beautiful games, above and below, near and far.
It was 8-Minute Empire is actually what I really
got you into there.
Started paying attention to him from.
Okay.
That is just a really. Whoa, hold on. I'm lost behind this board.
The board is for real. Right here.
Yeah, 8-Minute Empire was really, really neat. And I love his art because he does the art and design for a lot of these games.
He's quite talented.
And it's really, really striking.
So
these are not thin boards.
No, the components in this game are fantastic. And what's actually really cool is this was also on Kickstarter.
My Kickstarter copy is sitting at my house.
You get
unplayed.
Because it did so well or something, they actually include some upgraded Kickstarter components. So they have paper, cardboard components for like workers and stuff. But if you dig in here a little bit, I didn't even bother punching out the cardboard guys. Because why? You will need the money. They didn't upgrade the metal money. That's okay. But this is
what Kickstarter
the retail
is for.
version, and you actually get woodworkers with stickers that you put on them that are pretty cool looking. So a little thicker, not quite a meeple, but pretty cool. And then you get these upgraded.
I'm going to call these worker slabs.
Yeah, they're kind of like a tablet sort of thing. You also get these wood scrolls.
Slabs and scrolls.
Which are knowledge points in this game.
Okay, we have some dice.
Because if you have scrolls, you're smart. The Titan dice.
And we have, what, ambrosia?
It is ambrosia, yes. And it's actually really cool looking.
Ambrosia. All right.
Super big.
So
this game is complex for sure. This is not your
entry level game.
Because
skip Splendor, skip Century Spice Grove, go straight to this game.
Just get right to Ancient World.
Got it.
Now, that being said, it's not that hard. But like I said earlier, it's at the fundamentals, it's a worker placement game.
Okay.
But it's way more complex.
Slab placement
and there's a
game.
lot. It's a slab placement game, and there's a lot more going on. Everyone has their own race. There's 4, I don't know what you call these things, civilizations or something. A culture. And
so we have the Umnak, Unearthers of Umnak, Architects of Amnite, Merchants of Merlume,
and then the Guardians of Galadan.
I feel like there's a theme
with the Galadan.
There seems to be some alliteration.
Now, this game has 2 sides of the board. One side is just everyone has the same, other than the art, it's the same thing. The other side gives you the name, so I don't think you get to be called that until you
until you
okay. So this makes it asymmetrical. Not really. It's just a very slight difference. So like
you get
these
some special
guys,
powers for different.
Yeah,
these
guys. You start with 2 armies. You can have 2 army cards. This one lets you have a 3rd one, and you get an extra like arrow damage, which we'll go over later. So it's a small thing. It's not really an advantage. It's more of a way. I actually think the asymmetrical side is better for learning the game.
Okay.
Because then it gives you, there's so many aspects to focus on, it kind of gives you a way to start. Like, okay, I'm going to work on military.
So like something to get a grip on.
Yeah, I'd actually, like you can focus, because there's so many things you can do, you can actually focus on 1 or 2 aspects. I tried to focus on all aspects when I played it, and I lost. Very, very well. I lost good.
You lost extreme.
Yes.
Oh, we lost a slab.
Extreme losing is how I try to play these games. But so what's going on in this game? You want to ask the questions, or should I ask myself questions?
I mean, you were going full on great. So from what because I backed the Kickstarter.
Sure.
I haven't played it yet, but this is a game of like ancient giant monster / god / machine Titans are like advancing on civilization.
Yeah.
And you need to kind of prepare to deal with them and also advance your own culture.
Yes.
So you're building a civilization, building an economy and an engine to be able to defeat these huge titans before they get too close.
Yeah, so you have these titans here. I don't know if you want to show them or look at them.
Sure. We can lean some up against the box.
The art is really cool in this game. It's really pretty, like every single one of their games. But
yeah, I really, really do like his art style a lot. It's very evocative, very atmospheric.
The titans are out there, and they basically attack your civilization every turn, and they try to damage your civilization. So it's also a worker placement tableau building game or empire building game where you need a ton of space because it has on the boards like your military goes over here, your empire goes over here, your districts and titans that you kill go over here, and it really expands out. Like I think I was like 10 deep on each side, and so I was taking up more room than you and I have pretty much.
Sure.
Plus I'm also, I play like this, you know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm very
so you're really,
elbowy,
really
so
selfish
yes,
is what I'm
you
hearing.
do not want to sit next to me.
Okay.
I'm like, put the leaf in the table, we need more room.
All right.
So, yeah, you can do military, which helps you fight the titans.
Sure.
The titans get you points. The main thing you're trying to do is all these cards have a banner on them.
Yep.
There's 5 colored banners. You got red, green, blue, yellow, which kind of looks like Slytherin, and purple, which has like a bunny or something on it. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, everybody knows the famous purple bunny.
Purple bunny. So on your score track, you have a thing where it's like if you get 1 banner, it's worth 2 points in the game. If you have 3 banners, it's worth 7.
So it's kind of so there is like society building, titan fighting, set collecting game.
Yes. And then final scoring situation.
Okay.
So the more sets of flags you have, the more they're worth. So like if you have 5 red flags, and you can get at the end of the game, you can get a blue flag, but say you only have 2 blue flags. It's better to get that that 6th red flag because you get 6 points as opposed to getting like 3 points.
And a lot of these titans have multiple flags on them, so it looks like you're kind of building a society and then trying to defeat the titans that will then continue your engine.
Everyone will have a titan on their society, which will, like I said, attack them at the end of the round. And the titans have stars, so you have 1, 2, and 3 star titans. And the more stars they have, the more dice they roll. When you roll these dice, if you get a titan, it damages one of your empire cities that you've built, and then you no longer are getting the benefit that gives you.
Sure.
Like, may help your army, may help your economy, whatever it does. It may give you more money. You know?
So is this a worker placement game, an economy game, an action point game? Yes.
Yes. So there's, on this board, you have the board's actually massive. Like, it doesn't need to be this big, but what they did do is
it gives you, making it this big gives you space for that art.
Instead of saying, oh, for sure, like, put your cards on the table and stuff and figure it out, they actually tell you exactly where to play the cards. Hey, look, military, put the pile here and then place this many out for how many players there are. There's 3 players, cool, we get 300 cards. There's 4 players, we get an extra one. Okay. Stuff like that. And same with the cities. There's a blanks where you put as many and then you go up to the players. And then you have your starting track up here, which is awesome. Basically, things get harder as you go, and it unlocks some things. You actually start off with the grow ability is covered up, and so is the explore ability. So as you go through years of the game, you unlock more abilities to do. Now, where this one's different, other games have done something similar, but you start with 3 workers, right? And they're numbered 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
So the order you place the workers down super matters.
Okay.
If I put a 1 here,
slabs down,
they just all died. If I put a 2 worker here, and I do this action, cool, I get money, I'm happy, and then you do it, and you put a 3 there, you get the same thing. However, say you went first and you put your 3 down, and then I put my 2, then I have to pay a tax to the bank. I have to pay a money to go there. So you can actually be like, you can't block someone from doing something,
but you can make it more expensive.
Make it more expensive for them. Like, I know they're going to do that, I'm going to use my big guy here, but now your big guy's gone, and that might happen to you somewhere later. Okay. So
great.
You never know, risk reward sort of situation.
Sure. So I mean, it sounds like it's a worker placement game.
It is.
But where you can't just be locked out of the ability to do something.
However,
you just got to pay a tax.
However, you have essentially 3 actions, even though there's 4 in here. You can place a citizen. That's the worker placement situation.
Yep.
You can also attack a titan, which doesn't require you to place anything. You attack that titan. You have to have enough. You have to have arrows or swords or whatever. To kill that titan. Then you roll the dice, the titan attacks you, bad things will most likely happen, and then you move on. You can also build a stored city, which is used from one of the actions where you actually get a look at the deck. Like, you'll have cards out that you can build. You also have a deck of cards. You get a look at like 5 of them, pick one, put it face down, and then choose to pay for it later and build it and get the
kind of reminds me of Splendor in that sense, where you can reserve a card.
You can reserve a card. It's kind of the same way. That way no one can take it. Most titans can't hurt that.
Okay.
Unless there's like each Titan has a special ability where if you roll this coin, then they'll do something worse to you.
Sure. Cool.
But that's the main part of the game. Takes a little bit to figure out because there's so many actions, but at the base of it, it's actually really simple.
Yeah, but it seems like a very stylish worker placement game.
Pretty
where
much.
You're building a civilization to fight Titans with really amazing artwork.
You can also fight. It's very important. You can actually fight your opponent's Titans as well.
Oh, okay.
And you might think, why would I want to do that? But there's a couple reasons.
You might want their banners for points.
You do get the banners. It might have the colors you want, but each turn you can, if you don't want the Titan to attack you, you can put an ambrosia on it. Ambrosia is actually super important because you can do a lot. You can also do a bunch of actions with it. You can put an ambrosia on it. You like placate them, you feed them. They're like, all right, I won't mash your city because you fed me.
Sure.
But then every turn you want to do that, you have to put the amount of ambrosia plus 1 on there. So turn 1 you got 1, 2, and then 4, and it just, math happens. And it gets brutal.
Math, it happens.
You can kill their Titan and take 1 ambrosia, I think it's per banner on there or something like that.
Okay.
So you can actually get some of the ambrosia that way.
Okay.
You can also
from your opponent.
From your opponent.
Okay.
One guy was playing where he kept his starting Titan, and the starting Titans are very weak, and they'll only roll 1 die at the end phase and damage 1 building. Who cares? You can repair it easily. You can actually spend 2 ambrosia to repair it. You can, and then at the start of the turn, if you don't have a Titan, then you have to draw one, and the farther you are in the game, the harder the Titan it is. So you can have like a cheap Titan on here, and you're way into the game. So you might want to be like, dude, I'm tired of you having this little Titan. I'm going to kill your Titan and get you a bigger one.
Got it.
So that's another reason to kill their Titans, basically.
Okay. But I can't attack somebody's society directly.
No, you cannot.
But I can attack the Titan that's threatening.
Yeah, so like I want you to have a bigger Titan that's going to mess you up.
So what you're saying is I can look like I'm a hero, but then I'm actually betraying them. It sounds right up my alley.
There's no alliances in this game, so you can do whatever you want.
I'm the traitor. I like it. So yeah, like this is great. Like I had backed this on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see it kind of out. I really love his art.
This game's fantastic.
Gorgeous. Great. So who would you recommend it for? Again, it's relatively complex, so pretty established gamers. But who would this be perfect for?
This is perfect for like if you already played some of these. You've already played a worker style game. You've already done empire building and engine building, I guess you could say.
Sure.
Because as you build those empires, you're actually getting abilities too.
Yep.
You've already played those. You're like, I want something that does more. Maybe not more, but even something differently. Like
and does it with style.
And does it with a really. The art's just so cool to look at.
Great.
I really enjoy this game. It's definitely up my alley.
Awesome.
It doesn't have miniatures, but I still want to play it, and that's a good thing.
Is that usually the criteria for you?
Usually, I'm like the game can be horrible, and I'm like the miniatures are sweet though. I'm playing it. Like I almost bought the Mega Man game, and I'm glad I didn't. But I still want the miniatures. So one day it'll be $10.
I think that's what eBay's for.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for coming out. Thank you to Zulus for lending you and your services to us and bringing the games out.
Absolutely.
And thank you for everybody for joining us as we went through the new releases this week. Yeah. Hopefully something tickled your fancy, whether that was burning things down, playing a simple game, or murdering your friends' Titans so that more Titans kill them. Thank you everybody for joining us. Remember we have the Brothers Murph board game night on Monday night. We have Gen Con News on Tuesday, Fireside with Peter on Wednesday, and then next Friday we'll have Table Takes and the new release rundown again. So hopefully we will see you all soon. Goodbye.